Hey everybody, ChristopherOdd here. I just want to do a quick channel update. I don't do these very often, but I figured it was kind of timely just considering that Dark Souls 3 is fully releasing tomorrow. That's Monday night, Eastern time, I believe. And I've been away for a couple of days, not been producing a lot of content. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw that I was kind of just like not feeling great lately. There's nothing specific, not like health related or anything like that. Just like mentally, I think I was just kind of exhausted. And for those of you that don't know, I work a full-time job and I do YouTube on the side, but it kind of takes the equivalent of a full-time job's worth of time a lot. So it can get a little bit exhausting, and I think I was just kind of burning out a little bit. So I made a couple of comments on Twitter, and that's typically where I kind of just dump like stream of consciousness thoughts. So if you ever want to hear like an update or anything first, that's usually the best place to see that. I probably should have made a video a few days ago, but I just honestly truly wasn't like feeling it, you know? And I think when that happens, you just gotta kind of take a break and take a step back. So I did. And I just kind of hung out, watched some movies, TV shows with the wife, and played some Dota, which is like, that's my go-to, that's like my game. You know, it's crazy because it's the only game that I don't put on the channel, because I don't think people would enjoy it. But I play Dota more than I play anything else, and that's kind of my social game, so that's been kind of fun. But I just wanted to give a quick update on what you can expect over the next little while, and I'm gonna close off some of the series from the past that people continue to ask about, like, am I coming back to it? And one of the things I've never been really good at is, you know, calling a series quits, and I think sometimes they just kind of trail off because I lose my interests. And truthfully, my intention is more than likely to always come back to the game that I don't end up coming back to. But then other things come out and I get distracted and have more fun doing other stuff. But it does let some people down that are following the series. So let's talk about that first, I guess. So any series that I'm not actively putting videos up right now, you can consider pretty much just canceled. And I just need like a fresh start and to feel less overwhelmed in a sense. So maybe an easier way to say it would be the games that I am going to be continuing. So Dark Souls 3 I'll be continuing. I've loved my time with Dark Souls 3 so far. I just got the 1.03 update. I'm not sure what the updates are all fixing, but there has been some chat about the early copies having like less health on boss fights and stuff like that. So I'm not sure if what merit there is to that, but I could kind of see it actually. Some of the bosses you feel like, oh man, they died pretty quickly, and then some of them are like, yeah, crazy. I don't want to give any spoilers in case you're trying to stay away from that stuff. So yeah, but if they increase some of the health in the bosses, cool. I'm okay with that. I've really enjoyed my time so far, and there was a little bit of a botched launch from Namco Bandai's part. A lot of backlash from the community about streamers getting the game early and stuff, and I can totally understand why people are frustrated, especially that PC coverage has been available for quite a while, and I can see people being like, well, if the game's done, just release it. But there's obviously some deal somewhere about why it went the way that it did, and all that's going to be a wash anyways because the game's releasing like tomorrow, so that's pretty cool. So I will be continuing Dark Souls 3. I can start putting coverage out Monday night-ish Eastern time, so stay tuned for that. XCOM 2 will be continuing. We just lost, actually, the last campaign. I think we went a little too crazy with mods. My new approach to the third season is going to be to focus and build the campaign around a couple of really interesting mods, and then if we run into a situation where either things are getting too easy, which I don't think will happen actually, or we just have to make balances as we go, then I'll probably do that. I think in the last situation, you know, some people on Twitter broke it down for me really well and were saying like, well, we did a lot of mods to buff the enemies, but we didn't do any to actually really improve our soldiers. Like, we did give the swords a small buff, but I didn't even want to go to 100% for accuracy, and I didn't. And so what ended up happening is we just eventually got steamrolled. And that happens. It was shitty, but it happens. You don't have to submit a soldier again. The website now just accepts soldiers, and I'll always just grab from there. So I have a tool that somebody built me where I can automatically download new soldiers before every time I play, and just add them to the default character pool, and then you're in there. So that's pretty cool. If you submit a soldier already, there's no need to submit others. And I think there's like, I don't even know how many are in the pool, but there's like 1,500 or something. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I like it because I feel like, you know, when you play with the random soldiers, yeah, it can be kind of fun to be like, oh, who's this? Like, this is a nobody, and now they're like a star, right? But I like it when it's user submitted and the backstories are a little bit more unique and the look is a little bit more unique. So I actually really enjoy that. And I think some of the mods that I'm going to be using in Season 3 are really going to kind of amplify the emphasis on 0 to hero and relationships and building a cool story. So I'm excited about that. And then the only other series that's going to continue like very sparingly, and I haven't even put up a video in a couple of months, is the co-op Divinity stuff that I'm doing with a buddy of mine. And that's going to be like very few and far between, and not a lot of you guys are watching it, so I know some of you guys really like it, but for the ones that are watching, it will be here like from time to time. Both Andrew and I want to do it. It's just a matter of syncing up schedules and finding like the energy and the time, because we both have our own things going on in that scenario. So what else? I guess the only other thing I would say is like those will be the only games that I'm continuing. Salt and Sanctuary kind of fell off the radar, and unintentionally, because I fully anticipated that I would be playing that right up until Dark Souls 3 released. And then they decided that they were going to give us really early access to Dark Souls 3, and I was like, wow, this is like, Dark Souls is my jam, I really like it, so I jumped over to that instead, and then there was really no purpose to jump back to Salt and Sanctuary. And I could have done so over the last week when they changed the embargo stuff for Dark Souls 3, but I just figured, like, if I wasn't going to be continuing it after Dark Souls 3, why would I play it? Why would I go back to it? And, you know, it just didn't make sense in my eyes, so I took some time to myself and just chill instead of rushing out more content. And I have to say, thanks to everybody for the kind words. I could definitely feel the support from you guys when I took some time off, and that was really cool, because you're always like, as a content creator, at least me, maybe I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I feel like you always have to be putting out content, and you know, to a certain extent you do, because like if there's somebody on YouTube that I'm following really closely, if they're not putting out content, then I kind of forget about it, or it just falls off the map or whatever. But on the other side of things, if you're putting out too much content, you feel like as a viewer, you're like, I can never catch up. And you can also see like when the content creator is like having their highs and lows, and you can really sense like what's happening with them. And I think some people did get a sense that that I was kind of getting frustrated, or I just needed some time. So I got a bunch of really nice emails. I got really nice like tweets, messages on YouTube, and I do see all of that stuff. I don't have the time to reply to all of them, but really nice stuff. And again, like, nothing's wrong at all. Like, YouTube's not going away. It's just a really, really busy time in my life. I got a new job, as I think I mentioned earlier. YouTube's been going pretty well. There's been so many games coming out, and it's kind of crazy. So, what else? The only other thing I guess I would say along the lines of like games is that anything that I haven't mentioned, you can pretty much consider it like canceled, probably never coming back to it kind of thing. Quantum Break is a recent one that a lot of people were surprised that I wasn't going to continue. There's a couple of reasons as to that, and I don't want to get into like a bunch of drama, but I was really hoping to play the game on PC, and I think they did a really good job with the Xbox One version. That was the only version I've played to this point. but I didn't really hear anything about PC codes or anything like that. And then apparently the performance hasn't been that strong, which is disappointing because I think the game did have some unique aspects. You have to suspend a lot of disbelief, obviously, because you're dealing with, you know, time travel and, you know, localized black holes and things like that. But I gotta say, like, I saw some of the reviews and some people loved it and some people hated it. I enjoyed it. I never felt like, oh my god, I'm just like trudging through this thing because I have to. I actually really did enjoy Quantum Break. But I feel like it was just missing like something. I feel like the live action stuff was cool, but that was more of like, you know, hey, look at what we can do when we get like a budget and like real stars. And like the live action stuff was like legit TV watching. It was really good. But you can't do enough variations of the live action where your choices actually make a difference. You know, like there's a couple choices, like we got the ram or whatever, and it showed up like some guy was holding it in the background. It's like really subtle stuff. So yeah, I thought it was a cool attempt, but the combat's fun. I think the story will be interesting. I don't know that I'll ever get back to finishing it on my own time, but I mean, besides that, I just think that there wasn't enough making me want to come back to it. You know what I mean? So I just stopped. There's a whole bunch of other series, like in the past, I mentioned Salt and Sanctuary, like Wasteland 2 from way back. People are like, who cares about Wasteland 2? Nobody even been watching it, but it got so long and so kind of tedious at points where it was like, okay, like we gotta wrap this up. And I always thought I would maybe come back to it, but I didn't. Pillars is another one, which I really enjoyed. Like the first many hours I really enjoyed, but then again, it's like, okay, I think the difficulty spiked at one point, and I remember just getting like crushed over and over. And I was like, I can't even progress. So I just that kind of fell off. So it's like a fresh start in a sense with Dark Souls 3, but I'm going to continue my Dark Souls character. So I was hesitant to use the words fresh start and Dark Souls 3 in the same statements because people would ask if I was going to restart or not. I'm going to continue and pick up where we left off, because why not? XCOM 2 Season 3 will be starting Monday, which is pretty exciting, and Heavy Rain will finish this week, and then everything else is free. Walking Dead Michonne, I'm not going to go back to. I'm kind of thinking of games as I'm speaking here that I won't be continuing. But yeah, one of the things I'm really bad with is looking at games in advance and like finding out what type of game is coming and is it going to be a game that I would really enjoy. And like a couple of recent ones, like Enter the Gungeon, which literally everybody's playing, and I think it looks really cool. I'm like, man, that would probably be super fun. But I kind of missed the launch window a little bit. And I actually had a chance to look at it, but I was like, maybe it's not my thing. I'm not really good at figuring out in advance if a game is going to be for me or not. And because of all my other time commitments, it's hard to test a bunch of games. And don't get me wrong, I do get the opportunity, and I'm very fortunate for that opportunity to try and test a whole bunch of these games and decide like, oh, am I going to do it or not? And I could do short preview videos if I wanted. And I've tried that in the past with kind of mediocre reception, but I don't know. It's something to consider in the future. So yeah, all of this to just say thank you guys for the support, whether I'm putting videos up or not. I was actually that was nice. I got a really good boost from you guys sending me some kind words and stuff. And again, like, just to say it for like a third time, nothing is wrong at all. I was just exhausted, you know, and I think it wasn't even because of YouTube, it's just everything. And I just needed some time to just chill out. And I did that. I feel pretty good right now, so I'll be getting back into it. I am open to some advice on what I was just speaking about, where it's like I don't catch games early enough in advance. I've explored the idea of quote unquote like hiring somebody, or I don't know if hiring somebody is the right word, but like I need to find somebody or find a better system for identifying games that are coming up that I should be looking for that will fit what I like, you know? And like obviously saying that out loud, it's like, well, you should just do it yourself because you're the only one who's going to know what you like. And that's probably true. Maybe that's the only way of doing it, and I just have to get better at making the time and, you know, don't play Dota, of course, right? Like that's what I should do. But I'm open to your advice on where to find this stuff and how to sort through these millions of games that get announced like all the time, and trying to find things that will fit what I enjoy. And I think a lot of people have pigeonholed. I shouldn't even say pigeonholed. That sounds really bad. But I think a lot of people look at the channel as covering like two specific kind of genres. One of them is like anything with a cool story, like The Witcher, BioShock stuff, like all of that kind of thing. And then like XCOM, which is cool. I love, don't get me wrong, love XCOM, could play XCOM every day. So that's great, and I'm super happy about that. But there's other things that interest me, like anything with, like, as an example, I mentioned earlier, Enter the Gungeon, where things are, and I don't even know my terminology is the best, like roguelike or roguelite or whatever, but like where things are randomized, and it means like you can play the game over and over and get like fresh stuff. That's what I really like. And then things with like a really cool story are kind of the opposite of that, right? Because once you go through the story, it's like, that's it. Might be some choices along the way, but it's very different worlds. So yeah, it's interesting because those are kind of things I'd like to get into. And my idea is to put behind this video, like the actual video part, is to just play City Skylines a little bit, because I've always been interested in this game. And I've always been interested in city builders. Like, I played the old SimCities, I loved it. The recent SimCity launch, there were some things that obviously didn't go that well, but there were some things that were pretty fun in there too. And I actually played quite a bit of SimCity. But City Skylines turned out to be freaking awesome. And again, that's another kind of series that I missed out on. And I guess like the last thing that I'll talk about, I wasn't gonna talk about it much because I didn't think it would have any relevance, but the natural question will be like, well, if you want to play it, why don't you just play it, right? Why don't you play it and put it on the channel and people will watch it? And in my experience over the past 3 or 4 years of doing YouTube, that hasn't always been the case. There's games that I'll get constant requests for, like all the time. People will be asking you, hey, you should play this, you should play this. It's maybe an older game or out in the last couple of years or something that I may have missed. You should play this, you should play this, and I'll play it. And viewership is really low. And so my thought process, and I think for a lot of people making videos, is like, if you're gonna be putting videos up on YouTube, you should be hopefully putting up videos that a lot of people are watching. Because if not a lot of people are watching it, like, you might as well play it for yourself and just on your own time, right? And then you don't have to, you don't have to think as hard, if that makes sense, because when you're doing commentary and stuff, it can be draining. It can be tiring, right? So there's a balance there in playing games like just for yourself and playing games for an audience. So that's always a struggle. It's like, okay, if I go back and try this old game, it's a big time commitment, and I don't know if people will watch it. And maybe people will. I don't know. You don't know till you try. But then it's like, if it doesn't work out, then you feel bad canceling it, and there's kind of this whole series of decisions that I make. And I say me, and I'm sure a lot of other content creators struggle with the same thing, but that's kind of my thought process into when I start a new series or try to decide games that I'm gonna be playing. So I'm probably just rambling now. I will just say one other thing. If you guys enjoy these types of videos, let me know below, and if you have any questions or anything, feel free to ask. And if I get a bunch of questions, maybe I'll just continue doing this on a semi-regular basis, where I can answer some of the questions and just give you guys some updates on the channel, and myself, if that's interesting to you. But let me know any of your feedback, and we'll just go from there. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.